Hi everyone and welcome to OCD Live. I'm Greymond and here we talk about OCD, how to recover, and discuss different topics of OCD recovery. Here we also have a chat window on the side, so if you have a question that you would like to ask, you can do so in chat and I will answer it throughout the show. So today I wanted to talk to you about relationships and all kinds of relationships and how they relate to OCD and my perspective through talking to so many people, through having my own experiences when I was overcoming OCD, and just basically my opinion on dealing with relationships while overcoming OCD. So the first relationship we're going to discuss is the relationship between a boyfriend and a girlfriend or a husband and wife. In this situation, based on my personal experience as well as the experience of the people that I talk to, I would tell you that you have to know what to say and also what not to say, because when I was going through it, I think I was getting everybody too involved and it didn't get good results. And I see a lot of the times that OCD causes problems in a relationship, specifically because, not because of the thoughts or because of the situations, but because of the problem of the person dealing with OCD and the other person can't deal with the person dealing with OCD. It's a very difficult thing, and a lot of the times as we are going through our OCD thoughts, we're not fully realizing how difficult it is on the partner, because like when I was going through it, and what I see with other people as well is that um, when you're suffering so much and when everything is so hard every single day, um, you think that your situation is the worst and your anxiety level is very, very high, and you just don't know how to deal really. And when you're putting all of that on your partner, who also may not know what to do and has their own situations that they're dealing with, right? So putting that on the partner is not very fair, even though you're supposed to, share everything, in sickness and in health, all of that stuff, but at the same time, there's not really much your partner can do in terms of helping you recover. The only thing that they can do is basically do nothing. So they can't help you participate in compulsions, participate in avoidance, participate in reassurance. So if, for example, you're asking them for these things, like, for example, oh, can you touch the doorknob to open the door because I can't, or can you tell me if this is okay or not because I just want the reassurance. All of these types of things, because first of all, they're stressing out your partner, because unlike you, the partner can see that there's nothing wrong. So they know that there's nothing wrong, and at the same time, um, they understand how deeply you are in the OCD situation, because when you hear somebody talk about something and it's not rational, you understand that there's a real problem and it could scare them as well. And it's because OCD is not a permanent problem, it's fixable, very, very, very fixable issue. So I mean, I'm not some sort of a super person, but at the same time, I've helped so many people recover, and I mean, doctors call me and that this is a common thing and ask me how I'm making these people recover because they can't, so um, this is a very if you're doing the right things, it's not a difficult thing to recover from. Well, it is a difficult thing to recover from, but it's not impossible. That's what I'm trying to say. So it being possible, the recovery being possible, there's no point in telling your partner all of your thoughts, because the more you tell them, that will stick with them for a long time, much longer than it will stick with you, because you're going to go on to a new thought, new situation, then you'll recover from OCD eventually when you stop the reassurance, and you'll go on. But the partner will remember it longer, because it's almost like shocking to them to hear you this upset, this worried about a certain situation that's not really even like logical for them. So it becomes a much bigger issue, and it becomes a problem in the relationship as well a lot of the time, especially if the partner is relying on you to do something and you can't. It becomes a problem where, again, I understand in sickness and in health and all of this, but today's world is very, very stressful. And if the partner is relying on you to be half the team and you're not half the team, that's also very stressful. Now, with that same thought, you need to tell your partner exactly how you are feeling. Because if you're telling them that you are okay when you're not, or usually that's what happens. People don't make out OCD to be worse than it is, but they always try to put on a brave face and try to seem better than they are. I see that a lot. And with that, I would say that you definitely don't want to. I mean, you want to put on a brave face, but you don't want to outright say that everything is okay when it's not, because at some point it's going to come back to you, and you will have to maybe do something, maybe deal with some sort of a situation, and you won't be able to cope unless you know for sure that, okay, in a certain amount of time I'll be much better in my recovery, so it doesn't really matter. But if you're having a severe OCD, then you need to be upfront with the partner. You don't have to tell them details. I would suggest to not tell them details, but just tell them, I'm having a really tough day. I'm working on it, I'm trying my best, but I'm just having a really tough day. And again, not making it to be your partner's um, turn to do things because of that. They can help you with some stuff, but with OCD, the best cure, the best solution is to just act normal and behave normally as much as you can. Your partner can know that it's not really real and you're just going through the motions. And sometimes it's a good situation. For example, um, they might help you in things such as like driving. If you're really upset and you're crying and all of this stuff, not a good idea for you to be driving. So if your partner's there, instead of putting on a brave face, just say, I'm not feeling well. Can you drive for me, please? There's some stuff like that. But still going out, still doing things, still participating, because that's very important. Because the more you get into a thought, the worse you will feel. So you have to make sure that you are ignoring it as much as possible and just going on with your day. And but you have to keep your partner involved and informed on what is the level of your anxiety, but not really involved in the thought. Who cares really what thought you are having today? Tomorrow it will switch to something else. The next day it will switch to something else again. So the thought itself is not important, but just the level of your condition currently I think is important, especially if you have a lot of responsibilities. If you're not that close, if you guys are just dating, or the situation is very kind of, then you don't really need to tell them anything. You don't need to even, I mean, if it's getting serious, I think they do have the right to know that you have OCD, but you don't have to tell them the details. They can think it's about hand washing for all they know. It doesn't really make a difference, in my opinion. I mean, obviously I'm just telling you from the experience. But you know really, the worst thing you can do is really make your partner fully involved in your OCD situation, because that usually has an impact on a relationship. So you want to just kind of watch out for that. And if you are in a situation where you are really involving your partner very much, then pull back from that. Because to be honest with you, like when I had OCD, that's what I was doing, and it didn't do anything good. So, and we had to rebuild a lot of the stuff afterwards, because it's a tough thing. It's tough, and it's important, I think, to be honest about it, that as people, and as people in a relationship, we all go through ups and downs. And once you recover from OCD, which, as long as you're following what I'm saying in all my videos and all my books and everywhere I'm everywhere I'm talking or writing or doing anything, um, you will recover. but you just have to like persevere, stay on track, and if you fall off of track, just get back on it, and really kind of nurture your partner, because they feel a lot of the times helpless, and they don't know how to help you, and they love you, and they don't know what to do, and it's very, very difficult. I have a question here. Just a second. Okay, so I'm gonna read this out loud because I'm pretty sure you guys can see it anyways. Do I have to ignore every and any thought, no matter how bad it is? And I'm having trouble with this. Some I ignore and some I don't. So this is actually a really good question to bring up. So think of this. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna say it in metaphor, but I think this way you can better understand the situation. So think of it like a racetrack. You start at point A and you have to end at point B. This racetrack is your OCD recovery. If you ignore every thought, you're going to get from point A to point B very quickly. So you're going to get from where you are right now to full recovery very fast. If you ignore sometimes and sometimes you don't, it's like you're taking 3 steps forward and 1 step back, or 3 steps forward and 2 steps back. You're still progressing forward. If you're doing 1 step forward, 1 step back, 1 step forward, 1 step back, you're not moving anywhere. You're just going back and forth. So there needs to be more times where you ignore the thought than when you don't. And the more of these times, like the bigger the percentage of the thoughts that you ignore, of the times the thoughts come in and you ignore them, the faster your recovery will be. And that's 100% sure for across all of OCD thoughts. And when I say ignore, I mean ignore the thought and don't do any reassurance, avoidance, or compulsions. Those three is what really is making you stick with OCD and making your OCD worse. So as the more times you ignore it, the faster you will progress in your recovery, the faster you will recover. And that doesn't matter what kind of OCD you have. It can be a pure O, it can be a compulsive O, like full-on compulsions. It can be just in your head, just pure O. It can be false memory OCD. It doesn't really matter. If you ignore it all the time, it will go away much faster than if you ignore it some of the time, basically. So getting back to the relationships, I wanted to, and you guys, if you have more questions, also please continue to put it in the chat and I will keep answering them. So with relationships, now, if you examine the relationship of, say, parents and kids or teenagers or young adults, this is a different situation, and it depends how young the child is. And I personally, I don't work with children, but I would say that if you're a parent and you feel like you don't know how to help your child, then it's important to talk to them without judgment, without trying to reassure them either, but really explaining to them and really just learning everything you can about OCD and getting them to learn everything that you're learning about OCD, because the more you learn, the more power you gain over this, because OCD is so logical. That's one good thing about this disorder compared to other disorders. Not that there's a good thing, but it's better that it's very logical, and if you do one thing, it's going to do this. If you do another thing, it's going to do that. And you can almost guarantee exactly what's going to happen next based on your thought. For example, if you had a thought about driving today and you took it very seriously and you obsessed and you went back and you checked, then the next day next time you drive, you're going to get the exact same thought. If, for example, then the day after that you have another driving thought, because now you had 2 driving thoughts that you took seriously, right? So the third one you start to ignore, the fourth one you start to ignore, okay, your brain sees that this thought is not more relevant, it's going to start sending you other thoughts on different topic. If you react to those with fear, then those are going to be your main topic. So OCD is very, very logical, and if it sees that you're not reacting at all, it's going to go away, because obviously you're not in danger. There's no need to bring up those thoughts again. So so I would say that for parent-child relationship, the best thing is to educate yourself as much as possible. Don't go directly to the medication. See where you are, see if you need it. Try to not do the reassurance. See how you feel, or see how your child feels, and um, the the non-judgmental kind of approach is the most important, because the child needs to be able to trust you no matter what age they are, really. But they need to be able to trust you, and at the same time, um, you both need to learn about this, so you know how to kind of tackle it, basically. So also, then let's talk about another important relationship, is relationship with friends, co-workers, and that kind of a thing. So for that, I would say, and again, this is based on just all of the experience that I have from helping people over the years, from myself recovering, that, unless you are in a situation where you need to tell people that you have OCD, don't tell them. Don't tell them you have OCD unless you are really in a situation where you need to, because, you know, family is one thing, like personal relationships is one thing, but when these people are, unless they're a close personal friend, I wouldn't say that you have OCD, because it's always going to come back to you that, oh, there's that person with OCD, And I can tell you that based on my own personal experience. I've had, it's been almost 10 years since I've got over OCD, I've helped so many other people get over OCD, and I still have, people who are like not very close to me look at me as if I still have OCD, because they don't know, and they don't really care enough to know, and they'll always look at me like that because of all the stuff I told them when I was really feeling bad, So, and really right now, I probably wish I didn't tell them, because, you know, I mean, it's not that it's good or bad that I had OCD. It's really, anybody can get it. It's nothing, you know, to be kind of afraid of or ashamed of or anything like that. It's, but it's when, especially when it comes to the career, sometimes it can hurt you, because, say, for example, in a promotion situation, the person who doesn't have OCD will probably get a job over the person who has OCD if the boss knows about the situation. So things like that, or I don't know, just in friend situations, you will always be like, "Oh, are you okay? Is everything okay? Are you feeling bad?" People like move their head to the side and look at you, like, "Oh," like in that kind of way sometimes. Um, and that's kind of the thing that I don't really like. Like, I just want to say, like, I'm fine, but because, and this can go on for years and years and years after you get over OCD. So but this kind of stuff is more trivial, because either way they're not really that close to you, so who cares really what happens. But in the career setting, I would really not say anything, you know. And I can guarantee you that if you really kind of knew what your colleagues are experiencing, they don't have, perfect mental situations themselves as well. Everybody has problems, just most people don't talk about it in the career setting. So don't feel that you're alone. Don't feel that you're, kind of stuck by yourself. Okay, I have another question. How do you stop new thoughts or compulsions from arising after you stop the old ones? So, okay, this is another, you guys are asking really great questions. Um, So it's one thing to get over the old thought, whether through CBT or just kind of the thought just outlives itself, where it just stops being relevant to your life or whatever. Um, and at this point, as soon as the old thought leaves, or at least loses power over you, your mind is going to start to look for something else, because your mind is convinced that you are in very severe danger, because you've been reacting like you are in danger with a lot of fear and trying to protect yourself by doing the reassurance. So your mind thinks you are in actual real danger. So it's going to look for more thoughts. So when it finds that thought, that new thought, which it will, and you have to prepare yourself for that, you know, we all are hoping that it won't find anything and just will not give you a new thought, but you have to be realistic until you fully get over it and kind of do the not doing the reassurance, like go through that for a significant period of time, I would say at least a month or two, um, new thoughts are gonna arise. You know, they might not be so often, but from time to time they will happen. So if you're prepared for them, it's like you won half the battle. So first of all is being prepared for the thought to come. Then when the thought comes, examine how are you feeling. You know, is this a real thought, or is this kind of feeling like an OCD thought when you get some sort of an anxious thought? Sometimes, you know, you can just get a thought, right? But if you're feeling that this could possibly be OCD, then that's your immediate marker to know that it is an OCD thought. Because if it's not an OCD thought, you will never think that this is, oh, you know, is this an OCD thought? Like, think back to when you were anxious in any point of your life about a real thing. You never doubted it as possibly being OCD. You just thought that, you know, things are happening and I have to deal with them, all of this kind of stuff. You weren't really trying to solve whether it's an OCD situation or not. So if you are doubting at all that this thought is possibly OCD, then it means it's OCD. It's just a new OCD thought. It could be completely new from a different theme. And at this point, as you're doing the self-talk and you're saying, okay, I'm doubting it as OCD, this is a new thought, it means it's OCD, I need to move on from it. And as soon as you start to doubt this, you need to let this situation go. So refocus, get your mind busy. Your mind is like a computer, you know, it can only focus on so many tasks at once. It's a finite situation. It's not just endless amounts of thoughts at the same time. There's only so much thoughts it can handle. So give it other stimulation. Like if you're inside, go outside. Auditory stimulation, visual stimulation. Like, look, there's people walking by, all the noises. What is this person saying? Say hello to somebody. You know, start a conversation with someone you know. You know, not about OCD, but just generally. Give your mind a lot of stuff to focus on. The worst thing you can do when you get a new thought is stay in the house, close the door, lay in bed and cry. That is the absolute worst thing you can do, because you're actually not even focusing, you're hyper focusing on the thought. You have nothing else, no other stimulation for the mind. Your only stimulation is this thought. And this is how people get worse. I see this time and time again, that they zero in on a certain thought and they just keep thinking about it and thinking about it and thinking about it and just making themselves worse and worse, and it just becomes an endless kind of problem. So yeah, so definitely, and you know, once you get over your the thought that you started to do the recovery from, you will understand how OCD works, and you won't fall for it again. You'll see these same patterns. The thought might be different, the theme might be different, but the pattern is exactly the same. So you'll see that pattern and you won't be able to kind of pay attention to it anymore the same way, because you know it's all a lie, because all the other ones were a lie. And you know, the ones that were for real, like true thoughts, you never doubted them as OCD. So there's a clear distinction between OCD thoughts and real thoughts. And also keep in mind that, excuse me, when you have an OCD thought, um, you can have also feelings, physical symptoms, and emotions, feelings of guilt, feelings of shame, feelings of needing to confess. Maybe, you know, because it's your mind that's not functioning correctly, and your mind can control the rest of your body. So you can have all kinds of symptoms related to it because of your extreme anxiety, basically. I hope I was clear on this question. I don't know if I went off a little bit from the topic, but yeah, just, you know, and I wouldn't worry too much about it. This is a common worry for people who are getting over OCD, is that they're afraid, well, I get over this topic now and what's going to happen in the future. And you know, I mean, you might fall for it for a certain amount of time when a new thought hits, especially if a new thought is completely on a different topic, but you won't fall for it like you fell for this one, because you know better. You know, once you get over OCD thought once, you won't fall for it the same way again. So there's no chance of it being as bad as it is when you're starting your recovery, So, and if you fall, if you get obsessed about something for a day, basically, you'll pick yourself up the next day and say, you know what, this is my OCD coming back. I'm not going to deal with this. I'm not going to pay attention. I'm going to move on. So it will never become like that. And then the next day it will be gone because you're not doing anything to keep it there. So I think that was our show for today. I guess unless anybody has any other questions, we're going to be doing this every day, 11 p.m. to 11:30 p.m. Eastern. If we start to run into a situation where there's just too many questions, because right now we're just starting out, right? So it might go on for an hour as well. But for now we're doing 11 to 11:30 p.m. So if you have some more questions or something comes up tomorrow, tune in after, and I will answer all the questions you have. I have a lot of experience in this. I know how to get over OCD. I have many clients who have gotten over OCD, and it's just a matter of switching how you're reacting to the thoughts. In the very basic of it, it's how you're reacting to the thoughts. The more you react with fear, the more you pay attention to the thoughts, the worse you will get. Even if you feel better for a second, like you're seeking reassurance, you feel better. Um, Over time, you're gonna feel worse, and it's just about refusing the thought, not paying attention. And if you refuse to pay attention to the thought initially, right, like in the first few minutes, you might feel worse, but you are doing the better thing for the long-term recovery, and you should feel the next day it's gonna go away because you're not powering it up. The thought came into your mind, but you're not powering it up. You're not doing anything to keep it there. I always do the analogy of a ball being thrown to you. So a ball is thrown to you. You can catch it or you can not catch it. You don't have to catch it. A lot of the clients, well, most of the clients, and myself included too, that, I'd catch it and I'd run with it and I would keep running with this ball. Why? Why are we paying attention to these thoughts that are not making sense? And from past experience that those thoughts didn't make sense. So if those thoughts didn't make sense, then what is this? The Holy Grail? This is the one thought that is true, and all of the other ones were false? That doesn't make sense. And that next time you change your surroundings or whatever, you're gonna get a new thought. So this thought is just a one thought in the series of OCD thoughts, and you really have to give your mind that perspective that this is not some special thought that is true. It's not true, just like all the other ones were not true, and you're going to treat it as a thought that's not true and move on and deal with the stuff that's actually important to you. So, and it's basically taking control of your mind, and now you are going to be the one dictating to your mind what you're going to do and what you're not going to do, how you're going to think and how you're not going to think, rather than OCD kind of having a free reign over your brain. So that's the show today. I hope you guys tune in tomorrow. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really, really, really appreciate the support. This is kind of a new thing. So, I have another question here. I'm going to read the questions because I think it's important. I hope you guys don't mind. Is it normal when having OCD, when you feel a thought is going to pop out, you make it pop out on purpose, but it happens fast? So sorry, do you mean like a new thought is gonna come into your mind? But I don't understand what pop out means. I'm not sure what this means, but um, okay. So the person says the same old thought. So yeah, because what you're doing is if you're making it pop out on purpose, you are taking control. So there's two ways to handle a thought when it comes in. You can either take it and kind of don't do anything, and then the thought is going to leave, or you're actively saying, I'm not paying attention to it, and being very forceful about it. Also, there's even a more aggressive approach to it, is invite more of these type of thoughts to come, and that way you're showing to your mind that these are just thoughts. You don't care about them, they're not significant to you. Send me a million of them, I don't care. So I think that it's just making something happen on purpose with OCD is it's a little bit more aggressive, so you might get a little more anxiety, but the recovery speed is faster when you do it that way, because you're more forceful in your intent of recovery. So the thought becomes, it sends a stronger message to your brain that there's nothing wrong. So it's a better way, it's a more aggressive way. If you want to recover faster, that's the way to go. But at the same time, you want to make sure that you're watching how you're feeling overall, and you're not putting more stress than you need to, on yourself. So. No, as far as I'm understanding what you're saying, that I think that that's a good thing. As long as you can handle it, I think that's a good thing. If you guys have any more questions, or if you didn't want me, you didn't want to ask something in the chat, but you want me to bring it up in a, yeah, you can also email me to info@youhaveocd.com, and I'm the only one who sees those emails, so you can write to me, and then just tell me the general topic that you would like me to talk on, and what not to mention. So and then I can reply like that, because I want to be as helpful as I can, but at the same time I want to respect your privacy. So if I just want to help, basically. Anyways, that was the show, and I will see you guys tomorrow.